All righty, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so excited, you guys. This is like the best day ever. I am so happy right now. I literally woke up like singing really early, getting the music going because we have Rachel here from Hot Chocolate, and we are absolutely obsessed with Rachel and her stock imagery and just the beautiful brand that she's created and what she has supported so many entrepreneurs in doing out there. And Nicole actually discovered Rachel, I want to say it was like 6 to 8 months ago, and she saw Hot Chocolate and the imagery, and she was just super obsessed. She's like, we've got to sign on for this. So I'm going to let everyone kind of roll in because I know we've got like people popping on, and we've got, you guys, we have over, I think we had this morning like 950 people signed up for this training. So obviously we know you want to be here and you're really excited about this, and we're really excited about having you. So I'll just wait a second, maybe type in the chat box, let us know where you're here from. Where are you around the world? I know we have people everywhere. Rachel's in Canada. We're here in San Diego, and Vancouver, San Diego, Ireland, Calgary, Austin. Oh my gosh, you guys, I just want to like go travel everywhere. This is insane. Oh, this makes me so happy to see everyone in for everywhere. Wow, gosh, we've got Canada, Michigan, Colorado, New Jersey, Wyoming, Toronto, Winnipeg, London, Kansas City. Crystal, I've got family in Kansas City, UK, Boston. Oh my gosh, you guys, the list goes on and on. This is absolutely amazing. Amsterdam, Philadelphia. You guys, welcome from all over. We are so, so, so excited to have you here. And bonjour from France. Nicole will be, I don't know if you guys have heard the news, but Nicole will be moving to France in June. So we will have a Get It Done Gals headquarters in San Diego, where we're currently located, as well as France. So that's amazing. We've got Switzerland. So Nicole's going to be doing some meetups in Europe for our crew over there. So we're really, really excited. Jackie says she can't hear anything. I'll leave and come back again. Can you guys type in the chat box? Make sure that you can let me know that you can hear me okay. Well, I guess you could hear me because you typed where you were from. So that's a good sign. Okay, cool. Awesome, awesome. Well, welcome you guys. I am going to go ahead and get started, do a little intro, and then I'm going to hand it over to Rachel because she is the expert and we're so excited. So you guys, we are the Get It Done Gals. I'm Lindsay Mirando. This is my partner in crime, Nicole Lombardo. And we are all about supporting entrepreneurs and stepping into the CEO role and really simplifying their life and business. So we recognize that there's a million messages out there about how to do your marketing, how do you do your business, and it can feel overwhelming as a business owner. And that is why 3 years ago, we started Get It Done Gals. In the parking lot of a Starbucks, we decided that, hey, we can no longer allow female entrepreneurs to really feel overwhelmed by the marketing out there, because what we recognize is that we need more entrepreneurs out there actioning their ideas. That is what the world needs, right? We need more entrepreneurs going out there and actioning their ideas, because when you're out there actioning your ideas and when you're out there doing what you're passionate about, that means more people are being helped. So it's the trickle down effect, right? So what our goal is with this company is really to just provide you with tools, tips that are all about keeping it simple. And so when Nicole discovered Rachel about 8 months ago, she was like, oh my gosh, we finally have these beautiful stock images and there's a variety and we're so excited. And it has helped to streamline our social media so much. Like I always feel like, oh, thanks, Robin. I always feel like we have a go-to database. And I can't tell you how much that simplified our business. So when we were thinking about who we really wanted to, work with this year, we're like, we want to bring on experts that can help our community just simplify their business and just simplify the process, because we recognize that when it comes to social media, when it comes to marketing, it can feel super overwhelming. And that's the last thing we want. We don't want you to feel overwhelmed at all. So that is why we said, oh, it would be so cool if we could get Rachel from Hot Chocolate on and, have her share her gifts and her talent and what she's amazing at, branding and imagery and just creating a beautiful social media presence, and have her share that with our community. So when Rachel and I spoke about a month and a half ago, she shared, well, why don't I do something like 30 Instagram posts in 30 minutes? I was like, brilliant, because we have so many clients and people in our community. Isn't hot chocolate the bomb, Robin? Yes, it is.
Thank you, Robin.
I love it. Robin, you're amazing. We have people constantly saying to us, what should I post? How can I post? Posting takes me too long. Type in the chat box. Can you relate to that, where you kind of stare at your social media and you're like, what should I post on social media? Or sometimes you might be thinking, oh my gosh, like I don't know how to get beautiful images. Maybe it takes you like 2 hours to snap an Instagram photo. Yep, every day. Yes, laugh aloud. Hello from Philadelphia. Yeah, totally, right? So it takes me way too long, right? We hear it all the time. People say to us, you know, social media stresses me out, just like Crystal said. Like, you know, I'm sitting there and it's taking me 2 hours. I'm a perfectionist. I don't know how to get a beautiful photo up. And the reality is, you guys, that takes you away from doing your life's work. That takes you away from being in your business and what you are passionate about. And that is why we've got Rachel here. So I'm going to stop talking because we've got to get Rachel on the line. And this is the content that she's providing. You guys, I got a sneak peek of the presentation yesterday, and it's going to be phenomenal. Just a few housekeeping things. Make sure to stay till the end. We've got a Q&A at the end. So you're going to get to ask Rachel your questions, which is amazing. You've got this amazing branding imagery expert here, social media expert to support you. And B, Rachel has been kind enough to offer up a little something fun for those that stay till the end. So it's going to be a really cool bonus that we're excited about. So I will, without further ado, hand it on over to Rachel. And if you do ask a question, just know we'll answer it in the end, so it won't be ignored. I promise. I'm keeping a tally of all the questions to make sure that nothing goes unanswered. So Rachel, I will hand it to you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. I am actually really, really excited because Instagram is my favorite social media platform. And also because I know that I've struggled with, you know, trying to figure out how to create these beautiful feeds and engaging content. And I feel like I've finally gotten into a good rhythm. And so I'm excited to sort of to share some of my tips with you guys. So I just want to make sure everybody can hear me, and then I'm going to start sharing my screen and head right over into the presentation. So can you just let me know if you can hear me and see me okay? All right, I'm going to share my screen and get started. So just let me know if everybody can see the screen. Is it all good?
Mm-hmm.
All right, great. So if you're new to Instagram, or even if you've been on Instagram for a while, there's something in this presentation for you, because as Lindsay was saying, I think we all sometimes struggle with knowing what to post when it comes to social media, right? I mean, we've got Facebook and we've got Twitter and Instagram and Pinterest and more, and each of these requires at least one post a day, and sometimes even multiple posts a day. And it can get really, really overwhelming if you let it. So my goal here today is to help take some of that overwhelm away and just make it easier for you to come up with content for your Instagram. And I think it's actually going to help you come up with content for other platforms as well. So you are in the right place if you want to grow your Instagram because you think that it's a platform where your audience is hanging out and you believe that it's going to help you grow your business. If you want to spend less time planning posts, and I mean, who doesn't? Like, just like Lindsay was saying, I mean, the more time you spend on planning posts, the less time you're spending on the things that really matter to your business. So we want to make it much, much easier for you to plan out your posts. And maybe you feel stuck right now and you just don't know what you should be posting. You know, maybe your breakfast burrito shots, they're just not doing it, and you really want to get some strategic tips on how to captivate your audience. So if you said yes to any of those things, then you are definitely in the right place, because we are going to talk about what you need to know before you start posting. And these steps are really important, and we shouldn't rush through them. Otherwise, you end up with a pretty feed, but it does nothing to actually help you grow your business. We're also going to talk about how to define your brand style for Instagram. And I'm going to share with you some of my tips that I use for planning out my feed and how to really create a cohesive and beautiful feed. I'm also going to show you how to choose the right images quickly. I'm going to talk about where to find images so that you can spend less time planning and more time creating the stuff that gets you paid. So who am I, and why am I talking to you today about Instagram? I know some of you are members of the Stock Library and you already know me, but for those who don't, I'm the founder of the Hot Chocolate Styled Stock Library. It's a stock photography membership site for women entrepreneurs, bloggers, coaches, and creatives. I started the Styled Stock Library 2 years ago because at the time I really couldn't find very many stylish or chic stock photos to use on my website. And I used to create party printables and invitations, and I had created a course actually teaching others how to start a party printables business. And I needed pretty stock photos for my sales page and my blog post, but it was impossible to find feminine stock photos that were high quality and stylish and also affordable. Now, there's more options now, which is great, but at the time, there really wasn't much available, and everyone was selling, you know, like one-off photos on Etsy or something like that. And I realized that if I'm gonna buy, you know, a photo here and there, or a bunch of photos, it's just gonna get really expensive. And that's why I wanted to start a stock photography membership site where women would have access to hundreds of beautiful images so that they could create visual content and never feel stuck, you know, thinking, oh, what am I gonna post today? So 2 years later, we have over 1,000 photos, probably closer to 2,000 now, with images being added every single month. And we have a diverse community of members from a variety of different niches, which is really exciting. I style and photograph all of the images, so I have a really good pulse of what's happening in the visual content world at the moment. And Instagram, like I said, is one of my favorite platforms. And I love it because I can keep up with what's trendy and the types of images that women entrepreneurs need. And that's why I'm here to talk to you about Instagram today. So let's move right on into the juicy stuff. So the first step is to start with why. And ask yourself, what is the purpose of your Instagram account? So put in another term, it's what are you actually trying to accomplish on Instagram? And I think a lot of people brush over this because they feel that they just need to be on Instagram, right? It's one of those social media platforms you just have to have a presence on. But I really encourage you to think about this question, and I really feel that you need to know the answer, because without it, you can't possibly get the most out of your Instagram account, and you're always going to be wondering what you should post. So let me give you some examples, and maybe you fit into some of these. Are you trying to get potential clients to view your products on Instagram and then go to your website to make a purchase? Are you trying to establish yourself as an influencer and connect with potential sponsors and collaborators? Are you trying to use Instagram as a way to show a more human side of your brand? Or will Instagram be used as an extension of your portfolio to show off your work and maybe some of your clients' work in action? Knowing the purpose of your Instagram account is going to help you to actually filter through images. And it's going to help you come up with content ideas and create posts that are meaningful and impactful. And I'm going to say this a lot throughout this presentation, but a pretty picture isn't enough. You have to know what you're actually trying to do with that picture. The visuals are there to support your overall messaging for your brand. So by actually looking through the lens of what do you want to accomplish, or what is the purpose of your Instagram account, you have a really easy way to filter through potential content. Because every time you post something, you can ask yourself if it ultimately helps you to achieve that purpose. So if you're looking through images, it's really easy to make a decision by asking yourself, does this support what I'm trying to do on Instagram? Does this send the right message or not? So for example, the purpose of my Instagram account is to showcase the quality and the variety of images in the Hot Chocolate Styled Stock Library. It's also to get people to visit my website and specifically to sign up for my mailing list to get free images. So why does that matter? And how does it actually help me create content? Well, first of all, I know that I'm mostly going to be posting only images from the Styled Stock Library. And I know that I need to post a variety of images, meaning that I'm probably not going to be sticking to only one collection or one color scheme for very long. I also know that I need to post about the free images that I send out every month. And I need to I need to showcase what my members are doing with the images so that I can show the range of uses and the types of graphics that you can create. So just by knowing the purpose of my account, I've already started coming up with content ideas. And we'll talk more about content soon. All right, so step 2 is you need to define your audience. You can't create amazing content unless you know who you're actually creating this content for. So take some time and actually think about who your target audience is on Instagram and what do they want to see. And you may have done some of this for your overall brand, but I encourage you to sit down and think about how your audience on Instagram might be just a segment of that brand. It might not include everyone. And so really focus on who are the people that are in your target audience who are using Instagram. What do they want to see from you? And what are they going to respond to? And the thing is, when you're doing this, is that what I like to do is it's great to think about it, and it's great to write down these questions and actually sit with it for a while and write out your answers. But I suggest that you actually have a conversation with people. So that could be one of two things, or both of these things. It could be actually getting in touch with some of your Instagram followers individually and saying, hey, what type of content do you like to see from me on Instagram? Or what type of content are you looking for when you're using Instagram? Or you could actually post an image on Instagram and have a caption saying, what do you guys want to see from me? And start a conversation with your community. Don't be afraid to actually reach out to people and ask those questions, and use that as a starting off point. So you're going to take what your community says to you as ideas for what you should be posting about, but also keep in mind the purpose of your account and know that only you really know that overall purpose, and that you have to create both content that is going to serve that purpose and serve your audience. Another thing that you can do is you can look at your competitors or other people who are in similar niches that have a very similar target audience to you, and just look at what they're posting and really take note of what's getting the most engagement. That's going to give you another place to start when you think about, what kind of content to create. The only thing is that this is not about copying what they're doing, because you can't just copy somebody else's strategy and expect it to work for you. You have to tailor it to your own brand. But like I said, it's a good place to start seeing what types of posts people who are in your target audience are responding to. With this, you have to be willing to experiment. You have to be able to, put up some posts and see what happens, see what people are talking about and what they're interested in. So are they really loving pictures of your pet, for example, or do they not want to see that? Do they would prefer to see behind the scenes sneak peeks of what's happening in your business, or do they want to see the finished product? It's going to be different for every brand depending on your audience, but also depending on what you've trained them to expect from you. So let's say you've kind of been going about this Instagram thing and you feel like, maybe you haven't really had much of a strategy. If you're going to sort of switch to a new strategy, it might take some time to get your audience on board, or you might find that you really didn't have the right audience to begin with. So give it some time and just know that it does take some trial and error. The only thing that you really have to do is just pay attention to what kind of posts are getting likes, what kind of posts are getting comments. And it's not just about the likes, it's really about likes but overall the comments and the engagement that you're getting from your community. Are people clicking? If that's one of the purposes of your account, are they actually clicking on your profile and going to your website if that's what you want them to do? So just paying attention to those details and the analytics and the conversation that's happening around the different types of things that you're posting is really important. Okay, so number 3 is choosing themes. And this is a little tip that I like to use, which I find just makes it more quick and easy to figure out what I'm going to be posting about. So by this, I mean choose 4 to 5 really broad categories of topics that you're going to post about, keeping in mind these 3 things. Number 1, what is the purpose of your account that we talked about in step 1? What does your audience want to see from you that we talked about in step 2? And number 3, what is the brand story that you want to tell? Having a set of themes is going to actually make it easier for you to decide what to post. And using themes is going to help you choose the right image. It's going to help you create a compelling caption. And the idea here is that, again, you can just easily filter out anything that doesn't really go with the purpose of your Instagram account. And I like to think about the themes sometimes as prompts for what I'm going to be posting for the day. So you could, have themes that you rotate out every day. So let's talk about some examples, because it's a lot easier when you actually have examples. So let's say I'm a fashion blogger. These might be some of my themes. I might do an outfit of the day. I might do food, travel, and in my bag. So maybe every day, Monday through Friday, I'm posting a new outfit photo. So that is one of the themes that I post about. And then I might have a food theme where I'm posting, where I'm eating, or I'm styling up a brunch at home or something like that. Then I might have some posts about my travels, things like that. And then I might do a in my bag theme. So maybe once a week, I take a photo of what's in my bag and I talk about some of my favorite products. So those might be some themes for a fashion blogger. If you're an invitation designer, maybe your themes are mock-ups, behind the scenes, customer photo, and sneak peek. So for the mock-ups, you're actually maybe taking a stock photo and doing a mock-up of your finished invitation design and posting that on Instagram. Then for behind the scenes, maybe you're showing people magazine clippings or an inspiration palette or something like that, or you're showing people your work in progress. A customer photo might be something where a bride has ordered an invitation suite from you and she's had her photographer, the day of the wedding, style a beautiful flat lay, and you've got permission to use that photo. So you're showing people your products in action. And a sneak peek could be maybe just a little peek of a design that you're working on, or maybe it's an RSVP card and you tell them, the invitation is coming on Monday or something like that, the full invitation suite. So if I am an invitation designer, maybe I do mock-ups on Monday, behind the scenes on Tuesday, customer photo on Wednesday, sneak peek on Thursday, and then Friday I could go back to doing mock-ups, or maybe I have like a fun Friday post or something like that. So by using these themes, it's really just like a prompt for you to be able to just say, okay, here's what I'm going to post about today. It makes it simple for you, but it also makes it consistent for your community, and they know what to expect. And it's not like you're going to be posting that same mock-up every single Monday. It's going to be a totally different mock-up, but at least you kind of have a schedule and a filter for the types of content that you want to create. So for example, the coach might have some very broad themes of inspiration, education, conversation, and promotion. So inspiration could be something like a quote image and something that's with an inspirational quote, or it could just be a stock photo with a caption that has some inspiring story in it, for example. Education could be something like a short tip, or maybe even an excerpt from a blog post or a podcast interview or something like that. Conversation could be a post where you're really asking a deep question and you're trying to get your community to weigh in, and you really want to create a lot of conversation around it. And then promotion, that's a pretty obvious one, but it doesn't just have to be, okay, I'm launching a new product or I have a sale or something like that. Promotion can also be something where you have a blog post and you are telling people about the blog post, or a new podcast interview just went live or something like that. So again, these are basically ways for you to come up with content really, really easily, just knowing that, these are my 4 or 5 themes, and this is basically what I'm going to be talking about on Instagram. So I wanted to give you an example from my own Instagram feed. Just a sec, I'm going to grab a sip of water. So my themes are customer photos, promotion, education, inspiration, and behind the brand. So taking you through this grid, I want to show you how I've used these different themes to generate posts. So my first one over here is a stock photo. It's a quote image, or a quote that I've actually just overlaid on top. And it says, always be a first-rate version of yourself instead of a second-rate version of somebody else. And it's a quote from Judy Garland. So that is an inspirational post. It's meant to inspire people, and it falls really nicely into that category. This next image here, it was kind of a sneak peek. It wasn't actually, this whole collection wasn't actually ready at the time, but I was actually talking about my weekend and how I like to spend my weekends. And so this was a behind the brand kind of post, and it was just meant to show people a little bit more about me and my personality, because I use Instagram to show people more of who I am, because I don't really have the chance to do that too much on my website, for example. The next post is kind of a promotion and education post in one. And in this post, I had actually created a YouTube video showing people how to take a screenshot from their iPhone and add it to a mock-up. And so I was talking about that. So I was giving people the tip that they can do this, but also promoting a YouTube video that I had created. Over here is a customer photo. So this is actually the same photo, but this customer had added a couple of additional props to it and had added their own hand lettering, and so, or their own font. And so I wanted to highlight, here's how you can use a stock photo and really make it your own. And this was an example of one of my customer photos. We've got another inspiration photo here, and then another education photo here. And what that last photo is, it's actually just, I've zoomed in and I've cropped the photo really tight. And I basically was saying, you don't have to feel like you have to use an entire image. What you can do is you can zoom in on specific parts of a stock photo and create something that looks totally unique, because our stock photos are really high quality. So I was giving people a tip on, here's how you can use stock photos in a really unique way. So I wanted to show you those examples to kind of give you a real view of how I kind of look at my themes in my business. And as I'm going through planning out my Instagram posts, I'm thinking, okay, I need some inspiration posts. I need some education posts. I want to add a couple promotions here and there. I want to add, highlight some customer photos, and I want to show the personality behind my brand. So all of a sudden it's like, I have tons of things that I can post about now. And I'm not constantly asking myself, okay, what is this next post going to be about? All right, so the fourth thing is to get clear on your brand style. And by brand style, I'm talking about the overall colors of your brand, your fonts, the themes that we just talked about, your overall aesthetic, and then your copy. And the copy is, what you say, but also sort of the tone of your brand. So is your brand playful and fun, or is it more serious and refined? Those types of things. So we really need to get clarity on all of these things, not just for Instagram, but overall for your entire brand, and find ways to make Instagram, work in parallel with your overall branding. I think what you'll notice is that most of the successful accounts on Instagram have a very cohesive brand style. And when you land on their feeds, you'll see that they have a very carefully curated set of images. And those images all together, they actually tell a compelling story about the brand. In the book, Capture Your Style, Amy Song has a good quote, and it says, if a photo is worth 1,000 words, your Instagram grid is worth 1,000,000. And why does she say that? It's because your grid is really this snapshot of the story of your brand, or at least it should be. It's an impactful way for somebody to quickly assess what your brand is all about, and it's all happening in a series of 9 to 12 images. And that's a lot of power in one little grid. So we're going to spend some time in this next section talking about your grid and how you can get it right. Because the good news is that if you get your Instagram grid right, then you're automatically going to attract your ideal customers, and you're going to just repel people who are not in your target audience, which is fine. So let's look at some examples. Here are 3 brands that I follow. Each one of them has a unique style. And even without spending too much time looking at their feeds, you're already making assumptions about their brands based on the colors that they're using, the subjects that they're posting about, and the overall brand aesthetic, right? Like, you can look at these and sort of, know in your mind what these brands are about. You can also see how they all have pretty different styles and how they would attract or repel a certain audience. So if we look over here at Alicia's brand, what are we struck with first? We're struck with the bright colors. We're struck with the fun content. We're kind of getting this sense that it's like a fun and very vibrant brand. You know, she looks like she's out doing like DIY projects and things like that. So it's a very fun and youthful, vibrant feel to this brand. If you come over to Erin's feed, it's a lot more subtle. Her color scheme is white and tan and blush and cream and gray. So it's a very subtle color scheme, almost soothing. And you're looking at it and you can see a lot of food photos. So you're thinking, you know, recipes, maybe some interior posts and things like that. So kind of more of a lifestyle brand. And then if you come over to Bittersweet Colors, again, you're struck by the vibrant colors, but it's totally different colors than you find on Alicia's feed, right? So it's this beautiful, very luxurious feel, and it feels like a fashion blogger's Instagram feed, right? So just by looking at these feeds, not really knowing anything about the brands, you can already kind of make some decisions about whether or not you're interested in following this person. So you may already have a brand style guide or a pretty clear set of guidelines for your website and some of your other branding. And what I want you to, you know, think about is that your overall style on Instagram should really be an extension of your brand style and your story, right? So it shouldn't feel like two totally separate things, or, you know, like a totally separate personality if somebody lands on your Facebook and your Instagram or your website, right? If someone first lands on Instagram and then they click to the profile on your website, it should feel like they're still interacting with the same brand. So this is really the key to building strong brand consistency, is to make all of your brand touch points consistent. That said, I do want to point out that every social media platform serves a slightly different audience and a slightly different purpose. So for example, your Instagram feed can and should show more of the personality of your brand. You can infuse your feed, and I really recommend that you do this. You infuse your feed with a mix of photos. So you use some stock photos, some photos of you, some photos from your users or your clients or testimonials or something like that, as long as all of the images are high quality and they flow well together. And that's the key. So the types of images that you post on Instagram are not necessarily going to be the types of images you're going to post on your website or on Facebook, because each of these platforms does serve a different purpose. And it's just like we talked about in step one, you really need to get clear on the purpose of each platform. I would argue that on Instagram, it's more important to be curated and to think about how each image is going to work with the one next to it, especially in that 9 grid, right? And even more so than Facebook or anything else. So for example, I'm a lot more lenient with the visuals that I post on Facebook. So if I see a graphic from a Styled Stock Library member that I really like, but it just doesn't fit well with my Instagram feed, then I'll go ahead and I'll post it on Facebook or I'll share it on Twitter. So I'm still able to showcase my members, but I save the ones that are a best fit for my aesthetic on Instagram to use on that platform. And I just wanted to point out, if you haven't tried Instagram stories yet, you really should, because it's a great way to show more personality and just to be feel like you can be more free and less curated. You can, I love to share like behind the scenes of my business, more personal posts, or anything that's just really not pretty enough to actually share on my feed. All right, so let's dive into some of my tips on how to actually style your feed. So my first tip is to use your brand colors, but also supplement with complementary colors. So you may have, 2 or 3 main brand colors that you use on your website, and you're very strict with those colors. I think that you can be a little bit more lenient on Instagram. And that's not that you're going to just go willy-nilly and use every single color out there. You really have to think about what are some complementary colors that work with your brand that you can also include on Instagram. And the reason why I say this is because it's going to give you a lot more freedom when you're, searching through stock photos or something like that to find photos that might be slightly outside of your brand colors, but that still work. You won't feel as restricted, and it's going to be more interesting. So for example, my brand colors are gold and black on my website. But if I was only posting gold and black, it would get really boring for me and probably for my audience as well. So that's what I mean by choosing some complementary colors and actually infusing those into your Instagram feed. So I would just stick with a set of 3 to 6 complementary colors that you're going to use. So if we look at this grid, for example, let's say that this brand's colors are navy and peach. So what I've done is I've also included some other accent colors. So there's green, there's gold, there's some tans and creams and whites. All of this, kind of flows together to create these beautiful visuals that can still be on brand. And I wanted to give you a couple of tips. So let's say you love a stock photo. Let's say you love this photo here with the coffee and the flowers, but it has none of your brand colors. Let's say your brand colors are hot pink and turquoise. One thing that you can do to make it work better for your brand would be if you wanted to add some text over top, add your text and then change the color of the font to one of your brand colors. So let's say hot pink. Automatically, by doing that one little tweak, you have created a photo that looks more like it's on brand. The other thing that you can do is you can actually create a color overlay, using Canva or Photoshop or any photo editor. You would just create an overlay that would go over top of this entire image and, make that in your brand color. And then you would bring the transparency down just a little bit so that you could still see the stock photo peeking through your overlay. So by doing that little tweak, again, you have created a photo that looks customized to your brand, but you're still able to use a stock photo. And the thing is you want to get the most use out of the visuals that you have at your fingertips, right? It's all about spending less time, but still staying consistent with your branding. Okay, so my second tip about styling your feed is to focus on your grid of 9 to 12 photos. I like to focus on the grid of 9. So whenever I am posting on Instagram or I'm planning out my month, I don't plan out 30 photos at a time. I plan out 9 at a time. And so what I do, even though like in one sitting, I might be planning out the month, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to do my first 9 photos, then my next 9 photos, then my next 9. The reason why I say this is because it can get really overwhelming to feel like, oh my gosh, I have to plan out 30 photos that all look beautiful and coordinate with each other, right? If you stick to those 9 photos, it becomes a lot more manageable. And it's a lot easier to then plan out 9 photos and then transition to another 9. So my tip that I always use is that I'll go into the style stock library and I choose 2 to 3 collections and I mix and match to create a more interesting grid. So yes, you could totally go in and choose a collection, of let's say 10 stock photos or something and post those. But I find that mixing and matching different collections is actually going to create a much more visually pleasing Instagram feed. So in this grid, I actually have a few different collections that I've mixed in together to create something that is pretty and interesting, but it still flows. So let's say, for example, my brand has 2 colors, my brand colors are gray, black, pink, and gold. Don't feel like you have to go and find stock photos that have gray, black, pink, and gold. You don't need to find a stock photo that has every single one of your brand colors. So what I've done here is I've used this photo, for example. It's got the black, it's got the gray. In the next photo, it has the pink, it has the gold. Next photo, black and gray. Next photo, pink and gold, and so on. So by mixing and matching, I'm still creating this beautiful on-brand feed. And I'm creating this visual interest by mixing things up with different collections. So that's one of my biggest tips is go in, choose 2 or 3 collections, not more than that, but mix those up into your 9. The last thing that I want to say about this is that the last photo in your 9, so this would have been the first photo I posted, and this was the last one in the 9. I would think about how this photo is going to help you transition into your next 9 photos. So maybe for the next 9, I want to focus more on the grays and the blacks, and I don't want too many pinks. Well, this is a perfect photo to sort of transition into that. So think about how these photos all flow together, but also how are you going to transition into your next 9 photos so that it still looks like it belongs on one feed. Okay, my next tip is keeping it cohesive. And we've talked a little bit about this, but I wanted to just bring up the fact that you can keep it cohesive either by color, which I've done, or by themes, which I've also done in this feed. So obviously my theme here is summer. It's really easy to figure that out as soon as you look at it. We had just released our summer collection, and I wanted to, really profile the photos from here. And so I've chosen 2 of the summer collections, and I'm just sort of mixing and matching photos from that collection. So it doesn't always have to be, you don't always have to think about it in terms of color. You can also think about it about, themes. So for example, let's say that you are traveling somewhere and you wanted to do some posts about your travels. Well, it would be really great if you focused a story on your travels in those 9 posts. So maybe the first post is you packing up your luggage, and the second post is you at the airport, and the third post is on the airplane, and the fourth post is when you land. You know what I mean? So you're kind of telling a story and sticking to a theme for these 9 grids. Again, it helps you because it's helping you to filter through your content. It's helping you come up with content ideas. And it also helps your audience because it's creating this very pleasing, a grid where you're telling a story. Now, the one thing I wanted to point out was this photo here. It's a different color, obviously, than the rest, but it works with this feed because I have used the same theme. And I wanted to also point it out because it was created by a client. So here I was showcasing a customer photo, and her colors, her brand colors are pink. So she actually created a pink overlay, which is what I was talking about in the first tip there. So she created this pink overlay and added this text over top to make it look like it would work more with her brand. And so I used this photo here, and now when I transition into my next 9, I could probably go with a pink color scheme for those, and it would work really well. Okay, so this tip, change the perspective. This is probably the best way to create a feed that looks more like it's professionally curated. And what I mean by that is use a combination of different types of photos. So flat lays, lifestyle shots, close-ups, detailed shots, simple shots and busy shots. Think about how all these photos work together. So for example, I would not use this flat lay and this flat lay together because they're too similar, they're too busy, and they wouldn't look good next to each other on the feed. So let me take you through some of my thought process for how I chose these photos. So I started off with a lifestyle photo. It's a very simple photo, but it's also very bold because it's a close-up. The model has red lips. You're seeing these big polka dots. And for the next photo, I wanted to do something that had a little bit more white in it. It's a little bit busier because it has more props, but it's also still pleasing to the eye because it's monochrome, right? There's only the different shades of gray and black and white. That's it. So for the next photo, again, I really didn't want to use another flat lay that was too similar, so I went with a lifestyle photo. This one was really zoomed in, so for this one, I went with something that was zoomed out and had more white space around it. Over here, I've used this flat lay. This is definitely the busiest image in the bunch. And so I wanted to make sure of a couple things. I wanted to make sure that it would look good with the photo that I had already posted below it. And it does because that photo is pretty simple. And then I wanted to make sure that the next photo I used was also really simple. So this is a very simple shot, got a lot of white space. So it looks nice in comparison to this busier flat lay over here. Then in this shot, I've done another flat lay, but it also has a lot of white space. It's kind of a tighter composition, and there's not as much in the image. You notice that all of these are overhead shots, but they're all very different, so they still work well together. again, over here, I used a very simple shot, and that was because I knew that it was going to be over top of this photo and I wanted them to all look good together. And then on this, in this photo, I've gone ahead and I've done another flat lay. It's a little bit more busy, but again, it's working because the photos surrounding it are very simple and clean. So when you're posting, you want to think about, how are these photos going to look in conjunction with each other? How is it going to look with the photo next to it, over top of it, underneath it, and diagonal? And it might seem like it's a lot to think about, but you'll just sort of start getting the hang of it as you do it more often. It's not something that takes me a lot of time now, but just keep in mind, you know, if you're going with a flat lay, maybe the next shot is going to be like a really simple, you know, close up of something. And then you're going to do a lifestyle shot and then maybe another flat lay. I'm going to show you how I actually do this in a little bit. So when you're thinking about styling your feed, the thing is that you want to always keep in mind the purpose of your account, which we talked about in step 1, and your overall brand story. And like I said, think about creating a captivating story that weaves through each of those 9 squares. But the most important thing is you have to have fun with it. I mean, Instagram is a super fun platform, and it's not about being perfect. If you post something and it doesn't look, you know, great, so what? Just start over again. Or if you see something that doesn't really fit, like I said, maybe try doing an Instagram story about it instead of posting it in your feed if you think that it's really not a great fit with the aesthetic that you're going for. Okay, so let's just review. I love this quote, and I want you just to keep it in mind as you're going through planning out your Instagram. If a photo is worth 1,000 words, your Instagram grid is worth 1,000,000. So we're really, really narrowing down on that grid of 9 photos, and that's going to be our big focus. So the next step now is to actually go ahead and plan your posts. So now that you know your themes and you're clear on your brand style, it's all clear in your mind, now's the time to go ahead and search for photos and look for photos that work well together. And then finally, once you've got your photos, I recommend using a visual scheduling app like Planoly or Later so that you can actually schedule out your posts and see how they look before posting them. And I'm going to show you, I use Later, so I'm going to show you what that looks like. So let's go ahead and I'm going to show you how I would go about planning my posts for a month. And the first step is actually that I would log into the Hot Chocolate website. So let's just go ahead and do that. All right. So hopefully everybody can still see my screen. So I'm on Hot Chocolate. I'm just going to log into the members area. And like I said, step 1 for me is I'm going to log into the website and I'm going to go through and choose 2 to 3 collections from the library that I want to use. And I generally don't choose too many more than that. I might go up to 4, but I don't want to overwhelm myself with options. So I'll think about, you know, the color scheme or the theme that I want to post about, and then I'll go in and find the collections that work best with that. So in the library, we have things organized into various categories. So we have graphics packs that you can use to create, you know, unique graphics for your brand. And then we have something that I just quickly wanted to point out, these Insta quotes. So we actually go ahead and create these curated, beautiful quotes that you can use. They're switched out every month, but they coordinate with one of our featured collections of the month. So these are also really great to add into your Instagram feed. We've got our most recent collections, collections that are going to the archives, and then we've got lifestyle and desktop and all kinds of different collections. So what I would do is I would go in and I would find the 2 to 3 collections that I want to use. So for today's example, I'm actually going to use images from the Winter Pink and Gray collection. And I'm going to use the Insta quotes that came along with that. We posted this collection back in January. So I have those downloaded on my computer already. What I would do is I would just click on the cover image. It would take me to a new folder where I can just one click download the entire collection. I'm not going to do that just because I don't want to take up too much time. I already have these downloaded and uploaded into Later. So let's go to Later. Okay, this is later. This is the scheduling app for Instagram that I use. They have a desktop version and a version for your phone. And I love the fact that they have this desktop version because I hate typing into my phone. I don't know if I absolutely hate it. That's why I'm really bad at getting back at my Instagram, getting back to Instagram comments, because I just hate typing into my phone. So I do all of my scheduling on my computer, and I write out all the captions and hashtags and everything on the desktop. But the thing that I love the most about Later is that it allows me to very quickly plug in the posts and see how everything works together visually. And obviously, that's really important to me. So I'm just going to log into my account. Okay, so when you come into the account dashboard, you'll notice that on the left-hand side, there is a place where you can upload media. So you can actually just click on that, and then it's going to open up your folders, and you can then choose whatever you want. I obviously already have some uploaded. You can also just drag and drop, which is what I usually do. You can see the media that you've already used, and you can also organize things with labels and stuff like that. We're not going to really talk about that today. I'm going to just focus on showing you how I go ahead and organize my posts. So this is my unused media, and this is where I'm going to start. So like I said, I already have downloaded photos from that pink and gray collection. I've already uploaded images from the Insta quotes that went with that collection. And then I actually have a couple of photos from a new collection that we haven't even released yet, because I thought it would be kind of fun for you guys to see a little sneak peek. So I like to go over to the month view, and I'm just going to go over to March just to have a clean slate. And what I will do is then I'll start clicking and dragging these images in to create posts. So what I want to do is actually, I'm going to show you probably 2 weeks worth of images just to save some time, because I want to leave time for questions. But you'll see how quickly it goes once I get started, and you can really plan out 30 days worth of posts in like half an hour once you get the hang of things. Now, when I say 30 posts in 30 minutes, I'm not also talking about captions. So those might take you longer. I actually don't plan out my captions in advance. I like to keep my posts more real time. So I actually only plan out the captions maybe the day before or a couple days before. And I just use the photos to inspire what I'm going to write about that day. So I generally have an idea of what I'm going to say, maybe the week before or whatever, and then I'll just go in and talk about what's actually on my mind. You can do things differently. If you really like to have things planned out, then you can go ahead and plan out all your captions for a month. It's really easy. I'm going to show you how to do it. But the other thing I wanted to note is that if you have specific promotional posts that you know for sure, like let's say I have a new offer coming out on the 15th, then go ahead and plug that in first and work your other posts around it, right? So make sure that anything that you know specifically, or I'm going to be featured on a podcast on March 3rd, for example, then put your image in first and then work around those like specific hard dates for things that you want to post about. For those types of things where, it's a very scheduled post, then I will write out my captions, at the same time that I'm planning everything out. Everything else is pretty much more how I'm feeling in the moment, but you have to do whatever works best for your brand. So to get started, you're just going to drag and drop your files from the media bin into the calendar. So for example, if I wanted to start with a quote image on Monday, I would just drag it into Monday's date. You can crop, but this photo is already a square, so I don't even really need to do that. And then you would just write in your caption. The thing that I love about Later is that you can save captions, and I've used that just to save hashtags. So I have 3 different types of hashtags depending on what I'm posting. So I would click that, and then all of a sudden I've got all of my hashtags in here. It saves so much time, and it also tells you how many hashtags you have left, which is really great. So like if you're over or if you can add another one. And then you can also schedule, set a specific time. So you hit save. When it's time for you to post, then Later automatically is going to push a notification to your phone telling you you have a post ready, and you would just open it up and it copies everything for you to Instagram. So it's really, really easy. And by the way, I'm not affiliated with Later at all. It's the app that I use. So I wanted to show you guys in case you're interested. And I still use the free version. So, okay. So you would drag in your post and then you would start dragging in other posts. The thing that I wanted to talk about is that you want to think about what days you're actually posting things. So on Mondays, those are really great days to add in an inspirational quote because you're starting off the week. It's a really great way to sort of inspire and get your community pumped for what's coming up. For example, on Sundays, I probably wouldn't post a desktop image or an image of a laptop unless I'm actually planning on working that day and I wanted to say something about it. But Sundays, I would probably post something more about relaxing or food or something like that. So just pay attention to the days of the week and also pay attention to any holidays or even like National Donut Day or something like that. If you want to make a post about it, put those in your calendar first, again, with any other promotional posts that you're going to do. So when I'm doing this, I'm thinking about that grid of 9, first of all, and then I'm also thinking about cohesiveness. So I'm thinking about my themes. I'm thinking about how each photo is going to look together. I'm trying not to choose, for example, 2 really busy flat lays. I'm probably going to choose like a flat lay and then a lifestyle shot with less detail, as we discussed earlier. So let me just do a couple to give you an example of how I would think about this. So I've got my quote image. The next image that I'm going to choose is probably going to be, one that has similar colors so that I can kind of tie it through. So maybe I choose this one with the girl on her phone. And then maybe I want to do like a flat lay shot. Then maybe I'm going to choose another lifestyle shot over here. And guys, I'm not editing the crops on these because some of these are already cropped as squares, but let me try and show you an image that needs to be edited. Okay, here we go. So this is a vertical image, no problem. All you're gonna do is go to edit crop and then go square crop and then update. And then it's perfectly squared for you. So maybe this post on Friday is something about, the weekend. I'm excited for the weekend to arrive or whatever the case is. Maybe on Saturday, I'm doing somewhat of a more relaxing type of lifestyle post. And then on Sunday, I love just having a few moments to actually read a magazine or something that's not business related. So I'm going to talk about that on Sunday. So I'll save that. Monday, maybe I want to add in another quote. So how many do I have now? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Okay. So what I would do now is I would actually go to preview. And this is going to allow me to see how these images all look together. So this is one of the great things about Later. So I can actually see what my grid is going to look like. This is the last photo that I've posted on Instagram. So these are all of my planned posts right now, and I can see how they're all kind of going together. One thing that I don't really love are these 2 images because they're very similar, the colors. I feel like it would probably look better if I switched these out and did something like that. So, or even, yeah, I think I like that. So I would just save my changes and then Later is going to automatically update my schedule, which is really great. And so, yeah, I love the fact that you can just kind of mix things out. Obviously, don't want to do that, but you can change things up. You can, make adjustments as you see fit. And so if I'm happy with how that looks, then I'll just go back to my month view and I'm just going to continue going forward. So for example, maybe I've got a podcast interview coming up and I want to promote that. So I could add that image in there. And then maybe I want to do another quote graphic. And let's do some kind of working shot. And you can also, it doesn't have to, you can, zoom in. So let's say I wanted to get a much tighter crop on this photo. I can do that really easily. Whoops. And all right, so what are we on? We're on Friday. So maybe I want to talk a little bit about, relaxing or something like that, getting ready for the weekend. Obviously, your content is going to be very unique to you, but I'm just kind of giving you ideas of what I would post about. And then it's the weekend again, so I probably would post a lifestyle image. I love this photo. It's from one of our new collections, and so it's got tea and it's got the sort of relaxing feel to it that you would expect from a post on a Saturday. And then maybe Sunday, I'm talking about brunch, right? Again, so then I would go in and I would look at my preview and see how all of these images are sort of interacting with each other. Do they go? Is there a nice flow? Do I need to move anything around? And that type of thing. So when I'm done and I'm happy with everything, I'm pretty happy with how this looks. I might actually switch these two out because I think that they flow better together. And that's fine. I would just update my captions accordingly. And this is why I do my visuals before I write any captions. So I've got the visuals, and then I know, basically, I kind of use each photo as a prompt for what I'm going to write about that day. Once I'm happy with everything, then I would just go ahead and whenever I wanted to, if I wanted to do it right now, I would sit down and write my captions. And if not, then I would just do it at a later date. All right, so the reason why I wanted to show you this is because I found that planning out my posts this way has made it a lot faster and a lot less stressful for me. And I feel like I always have something to post. I really don't want you to feel like you're not posting on Instagram because you just don't know what to post. And then a week goes by and all of a sudden you haven't posted for an entire week. Because I know for myself, every time that I post a new photo, I'm gaining new followers, which means that I really do need to be posting every single day to keep growing my Instagram account. And so I want you to know that, by doing a little bit of planning and taking some time to do that strategy in the beginning, it's really going to help you to spend way, way, way less time to create a more beautiful and impactful feed. And you definitely don't have to use this app. There are lots of others, but this is the one that I use. So I just wanted to show you that. The thing that I would look for in any of the apps, though, is just knowing that you can actually do the preview and move things around if you're not happy with how it looks visually. So my secret weapon is obviously having a ton of beautiful stock photos at my fingertips to play around with. I love that our Styled Stock Library members always have fresh content and always have a big selection of images to create the graphics that they need and ultimately to create the feeds that work for their unique brands. So I wanted to show you some of the benefits of a Styled Stock Library membership. So if you're one of those people who, you don't want to take your own photos, you're not interested in that, and you're currently struggling to find beautiful, high quality images for your brand, then the Styled Stock Library might be a good fit for you. So I'm just going to show you really quickly what the membership is all about and some of the benefits of being a member. All right, so the biggest thing, when I started this, it was all because I felt like women entrepreneurs, myself included, were overwhelmed with the amount of visual content that we had to create and how much it was going to cost to buy a bunch of stock photos. That's why I created a membership site model. The other thing was just knowing that most women entrepreneurs don't want to waste the time of taking photos, or knowing that you're not necessarily going to get the beautiful, high quality photos unless you spend a lot of time actually learning photography and editing and all of that. So the idea was to create this stock library of stylish images that was also affordable, that would save women entrepreneurs a lot of time. That's why I say the Styled Stock Library is your answer to the endless frustration of trying to find the perfect image, because they're really all there at your fingertips. So inside the library, we have a variety of types of images. We have lots of lifestyle images that are, that feature models, some that don't. We have, the working desk type images. We have some journaling images, workout images. meditation, and that type of thing. We're really trying to work on creating a big variety for people. We have those pre-made social media quote images that I told you about, the Insta quotes. Those change out every month, so there's always fresh content. They always coordinate with one of our main feature collections, which is really nice because then it makes it really easy to use our latest photos and the latest Insta quotes. We have tons of those flat lay overhead style desktop images in a variety of colorways so that they'll work for many, many different brands. We have mock-ups. So these are great if you are an invitation designer or a web designer, or if you create prints or something like that. You can actually have these beautifully styled photos and then just overlay your design on top. So it's a great way to promote your products. And then even if you're not a designer, even if you're a coach or something like that, you can use these images to add in inspirational quotes. Or if you have a sale, you can add in a screenshot of your website or something like that. So they're really fun, and people find really unique ways to use them. We've got seasonal images, which, pretty self-explanatory. We've got summer, fall, winter, holiday collections and things like that. And then we have something really cool, which is we have these exclusive graphics that are created by our very talented designer. And she, creates these packages of graphics that have icons and borders and frames and backgrounds that you can use to create beautiful branding graphics for your business. So what are some of the benefits of a membership? One of the big things is that we create new images and new collections monthly. So typically, last month we had a huge release of 200 new photos. Typically it's more around 100 new photos, usually between 4 and 6 new collections every single month, so that we can keep your content really fresh. It's really important to us. We're constantly trying to create the most beautiful, most interesting, and versatile types of photos. You get instant access when you sign up, so there's no waiting for anything. There's no download limits, which is really great because you can just have everything at your fingertips to play around with, which is really fun. We offer really high resolution images. We actually save them for print, so you can use them for creating worksheets or anything like that. And you can also zoom in and crop and use them for a variety of uses. We've got simple terms. So we want to make it really easy for you to be able to use these images for pretty much everything that you would need to. You can add filters, you can change colors, you can do all of that stuff because I want you to be able to create these beautiful graphics that are going to work for your brand. Pretty much the only thing you can't do is you can't resell them, you can't share them. And if you're, let's say, a web designer or a visuals, designer or a VA or something, you can't use the images for your clients unless your clients are also members of the Styled Stock Library. And we have the complete terms on our website if you want to read those through. The last thing I wanted to say is that the images are really versatile. So you can use them for your websites, for newsletters, for social media, to create blog posts, sidebar buttons, like I was saying, worksheets, presentations. My whole presentation was created with photos. Whoops, there's my pop-up. With photos from the Styled Stock Library. So let me just quickly go back to the presentation for a second. So that is the overview of the Styled Stock Library. If you feel like you're ready to stop wasting your time looking for stock photos, then this might be a good fit for you. Like I said, we have a big variety of images and you can definitely check out all of the different collections that we have. But I also wanted to mention that we do have a special bonus offer for you that have stuck around and been part of this training. It's something that I think is really cool. So when you sign up for a membership in the next 48 hours, we are going to give you access to 20 collections from the archives. These are collections that we have phased out of the library, not because they're not awesome. They really are. They're actually some of my favorite collections. But because we're really committed to keeping content fresh, as we add new stuff, we take other stuff out. And so if you signed up today, just not with this bonus offer, you wouldn't have access to these 20 collections. So if you're interested in signing up, this is the bonus. You get these beautiful 20 different collections from the archives, and it's only for the next 48 hours. And this is the link that you need to use in order to get the bonus. So I think we're going to just put the link in the comments box so you can easily click on it and you can check out all of the additional membership information. But again, these are the 20 collections that you're going to get. So there's gold, green, light pink, hot pink, mint, purple, peach, aqua, black and gold, bright and colorful, silver, florals, cozy workday, red, a bright spring day, spring, boss lady pink, summer, pink and gold, and royal blue. I know it's a lot. These are the ones that you would get as a special bonus. All right, so that is it for me. I would love to hear if anybody has questions, and I'm happy to answer them.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Rachel. I was like taking so many freaking notes, and I know Nicole was over there too. So just so many great things to think about, so many great things to start incorporating. And I love how you showed kind of the back end of how your philosophy and how you do it, because I think it's super helpful to see. I know personally, like I look at your feed and beautiful feeds, I'm like, that looks gorgeous, but the how-to is where I get stuck. So seeing your behind the scenes was just phenomenal. I am going to post the link, and then I'm going to rapid fire through questions. We had quite a few, you guys, so I tried to clump these questions into like bunches so we can kind of make sure that I'm not sure. Nicole, can you post the link so we can get through these questions, because it's not letting me post to everyone's for not. So I'll kind of clump these together, Rachel. That way we can make sure that we're not taking too much of your time. But let's start with, okay, first question that came up a lot, and maybe just give like maybe 1 or 2 tips on captions. A lot of people have said they get stuck on captions. So how do you kind of come up with captions once you get that beautiful imagery together? You see how it's all looking.
Okay, yeah. So I think that, you know, planning out what your themes are going to be is going to help you, right? So just knowing that, yes, I'm going to post like an inspiration, education, promotion, conversation, like just having those themes in your mind is just going to be kind of like a prompt for you to be able to quickly come up with some captions. You know what? I think I struggle with the captions too. I think that obviously now that I've got the pretty photos, it's like the captions like the next thing that you kind of might struggle with. And I think it's just keeping in mind, again, what is the purpose of your Instagram account, and just knowing that a lot of it is just going to be building community and getting people to have conversations, right? It's not all about promotion. I would say promotion is kind of like maybe the thing that you do only like 1/4 of the time or something like that. And so for me, it's really like, okay, what can I tell people about me that I think is going to be interesting, or that I want them to know as part of the personality of my brand? Or what can I say that is going to inspire somebody today? Or, you know, what kind of tip can I give that's going to be educational and show people that I'm the expert at what I do? So I mean, I think of it as kind of like, you know, it's part of this overall strategy, and then just using those categories to really figure out, or those themes to really figure out what you're going to talk about every day, and then using the photo to kind of inspire your caption too. That's what I like to do.
I love it. That's awesome. You guys, a lot of people are asking questions about like strategy too. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take those questions. We'll put them in our Facebook group. That way we can get through like a lot of the questions on what Rachel went through today, because there's like probably over 60, 70 questions. So I just want to make sure, obviously we can't stay here all night, but I want to make sure you guys are covered. So if you were asking questions about like the how often to post, hashtags, all that kind of stuff, we'll take those in our Facebook group, and I'll have Nicole post the Facebook group in here as well. And that way, you know, we can make sure to answer those questions. So I really want to make sure to, you know, be able to get to all your questions. Rachel, a few questions came in about, is the membership billed monthly? How does it work?
Okay, yeah. So I didn't go over that, but the membership right now, the 2 options that we have are a 6-month or an annual plan. So you can sign up for either one of those. And basically the annual plan is more of a savings, but if you only wanted to do the 6 months to kind of test it out and start off with, then you could definitely choose that option. And then it automatically renews unless you decide to cancel, and you can cancel at any time. So if you just want to do 6 months, you can sign up for the 6 months and cancel. If you find that you're loving it and you want to stay on, you don't have to do anything. It'll just automatically renew.
Perfect. They want to know what font you were using for your presentation and if there is a hashtag for hot chocolate that they should be using when they are doing the photos.
Oh, okay. So the hashtag, I'll answer that question. So hashtag is HC styled stock.
Perfect.
Yeah, so definitely I'll love, because I'll scroll through and then I'll see what my members are using, and that's where I get, the customer photo types of images that I'm using and reposting. So definitely, if you want to, you don't have to, but if you want to, I love when you use the hashtag.
Perfect.
For fonts, so what font are they talking about? I don't know.
Someone said, what font did you use in your presentation?
Oh, okay. I used a few different fonts. I don't know. Okay, let me see. Canva's being really weird right now, so it's not letting me see them. But are you talking about like these fonts? They're Canva fonts. So I love Canva because you can really have a great selection of fonts. And so maybe you're talking about this script font. This is a paid font that I own.
Got it.
Yeah. So, but the rest of them are all Canva fonts.
Perfect. Let's see. We had a lot of questions, Rachel, around like imagery in the actual stock. Some people asked about wine images, wedding images. One gal asked about just, do you have people of different races, like making sure, variety. So maybe if you could just talk to, and if you don't have that stuff, like a lot of people were saying you're really great about like, hey, if you're looking for specific images, I'll add them in or take that into account if you're seeing the same thing.
Yeah, sure. Do you mind if I share my screen again, and then I can just kind of show people a little bit?
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, because that was a big question just around like wedding, wine, all different styles of people, all of that kind of stuff came up constantly.
Okay, sure. So let me see if I can. So on our blog, you can actually see some of our latest collections, and you'll be able to sort of, can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Sorry.
No, you're good. No, yeah, you wouldn't have known.
So you can actually click. So for example, this was one of our latest collections. You'll be able to click here. And then what we've done is we've done like these little sliders. So you can go through and actually view what is included in some of the different collections.
Perfect.
So you can see like the different product mock-ups, florals, things like that we have. We've got like a fruit collection. This was the pink and gray one that I used. We do have diverse models, and that is one thing that I, my team and I are very much aware of, and we're trying to add in more diverse models, or as many diverse models as we can. So you can see, kind of like scroll through and see the types of images that are available. The blog is a really great resource for that. And we do actually have, let me see if I can find it. So you've got some posts like the latest from the library, so you can see, some of the images that we've got in there. And then my assistant actually is going to post a link to another blog post that has a kind of an overview of many of the other types of images that we have in the library. So I think she's just going to post that in the comments for people.
Oh, perfect. That's so great. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So wedding, we don't have wedding images per se, but we are doing a lot more of images that are specifically, sort of geared towards the events and entertaining industry, wedding industry. So it's not an actual wedding, but it's like a beautiful styled tablescape, and there's lots of detailed shots of food and cakes and things like that.
Perfect.
Wine, were they looking for like mock-ups of wine bottles?
It sounded like just, I'll have to search back, but that they were in the wine industry and they were looking for like wine specific, which I know you have like a lot of champagne photos in there.
Yeah, we do have some champagne photos and things like that. And then what was the other question?
I think those were the main stock imagery ones. Okay. The mompreneurs we just got mompreneurs, so I think it just, and from what it sounds like, there's a wide variety in there, and you guys are constantly just updating it each month. And that's what I think is so cool, is like every month you get these new images, new image packs. So,
Yeah.
it's phenomenal.
Yes, and we definitely we want to hear from our members in terms of what they want, and we're working on a mompreneur collection. Actually, we're working on some children themed photos because we don't really have that in the library right now. But if you go to the membership, through that link that we sent you, you can actually see some of the collections that we have and just get an idea of if it's right for you. Obviously, you want to make sure that the aesthetic is what you what would work for your brand, but you can kind of see the variety and the different colors that we have in the Styled Stock library on that page there. It's right on the sales page.
One gal asked, does Rachel do one-on-one coaching?
Oh, no, I don't. Most of my time, to be honest, is spent, figuring out what are we going to be taking photos of next and adding new content to the library. So that's really my big thing.
Perfect. So a lot of questions around, can I find a tutorial on your YouTube? Because I know you mentioned earlier your YouTube, and where we can find your YouTube channel of like doing the flat lays and some of the things that you talked about. Do you have those tutorials on there?
Yeah, so I think my assistant just posted also in the comments. I do have a YouTube channel, a bunch of videos on there.
Awesome. Yep, it's in there.
Yeah, so I was talking about adding the colored overlay. There's a video there that'll show you how to do that, how to add text to your images, how to take a screenshot and add a mock-up, screenshot to a mock-up. So there's lots of different videos in there. Yeah.
Awesome. That's so great. We got a lot of questions, Rachel, around, and all very kind of, same theme is, how do I balance the, let's say I'm a lifestyle blogger, I'm a food blogger. So how do I balance the, taking pictures of my food or taking pictures of my life, like you're saying with the themes, with the stock photos, so that your whole feed isn't stock photos, but you kind of have a good combo? That was like the same common question that we got from a lot of people.
Okay, that's a really good question. And I love the fact that people want to use their own content too. So it don't feel like just because you have a stock photo subscription that you can only, use stock photos or whatever. I think it's better when you can kind of mix it in with your own personal content, but you always have the stock photos there as, your backup. And you always have a pretty photo at your fingertips. So my tip for that would be maybe choose a filter, right? So when you're taking your own photos, add that filter to your photos that you take and the stock photos. So that's going to help everything look consistent. By adding those, I would say no more than 2 filters, and even better if you just choose one and you're actually putting it on every single photo that you're posting on Instagram, or you're editing the photos in a very similar way so that they are looking very consistent. And add the filter to the stock photo as well, so that you're getting kind of that same feel. I think that's one way that you can kind of create the feed, create a feed making it look very cohesive.
And are you talking about like a filter, like an Instagram filter? You would just kind of pick, okay, I'm going to always use Chrome or whatever. There's or so it might an overlay.
Could be an overlay. It could be overlays and filters are kind of different, but so it could be like an Instagram filter that you use. Maybe you use Canva to edit your photos. Canva has some preset filters, and you can even play around with it. And I would suggest playing around with and coming up with your own custom filter that feels really good to you, and just knowing what that preset is and just using that one every single time. So whether it's Instagram or Canva, or alternatively also adding a color overlay to something. But I think with the color overlays, you run the risk of your feed just looking too similar. The filter is kind of more of a subtle thing, with an overlay is a little bit more, what's the word? It kind of creates every photo, making it look too similar in my mind. So you just kind of have to play around with it. Maybe you have 2 or 3 color overlays that you use, and you kind of mix and match and switch them out, and that might work really well. But I'm more talking about actually adding a filter to it.
Awesome. So yeah, you guys, I know a lot of you asked about filter, color overlay. So, you could create, there's filters on Canva, there's filters on Instagram, like Rachel's saying. I think we use Looksy is an app where we use the same 3 filters in there. So, really just pick what works and resonates with your brand, like you said. And also, Rachel has all of these amazing YouTube videos. So like, I can't wait to check out a bunch of them. So specific questions. Oh yeah, Lisa, I wasn't sure what a filter was. Yeah. So Lisa, when you go onto Instagram and you see at the bottom where it has like, here's your 10 options, that's a filter. So there's a lot of apps that are out there now that you can use with like creating filters or using their filters. So definitely, check out Rachel's YouTube videos because they're going to be amazing.
Yeah, another really good one for filters is a color story. If you guys have, not tried that one out, they have some really good filters. And my only word of caution with that is really only choose one, maximum two. Don't use a different filter every single time because that's going to defeat the purpose of creating that beautiful, cohesive feed.
That makes total sense. We got a lot of comments. Rachel, loving the idea of theme days. I'm brainstorming like crazy. So much awesome advice. My mind is racing. This is so helpful. I mean, the comments were going on, and you have a lot of raving fans in here. So many people that were speaking to how amazing hot chocolate was and how much they are loving and enjoying the being inside of it. You guys, there's a lot more questions coming through in terms of what images that they have available in hot chocolate. I would definitely suggest you guys go to the link and actually read through the page, look through the imagery. You can get a great idea of what type of imagery is out there. So, and what type of imagery is within hot chocolate. So I can attest to being, us using it every single day. I mean, there's always something for every occasion. Like I've never had trouble finding something or like, oh, I don't have that, or what would I do with that? If anything, there's like, ooh, which one is the best one? So I think, and a lot of you asked also about a replay. The replay will definitely be in your inbox. Let's see, I think the only other question that was like a really, really common one, Rachel, was just about like, people were asking about like bright images versus, darker images. And like a lot of people are doing the white space around their photos. Is it one way better than the other? Or is it just, going back to what you're saying, your brand, looking at it, looking at the colors and creating the complementary colors alongside?
There's like studies about, what types of photos work better on Instagram and that type of thing. And I always take those with a grain of salt because I'm like, unless they're talking about my specific audience, I don't really care about those statistics, right? Because I have a very specific niche. And I think we probably all do. And some of those statistics are like general, like the billion Instagram users. That's not really helpful to you. So I would kind of know what those stats are and everything, but I wouldn't pay too much attention. What I would really focus on are, what types of images are resonating with my audience. So when I post something that's kind of darker, is it getting more engagement? And it's not just like a one-off photo. You have to post a few to kind of see what the trend might be. But I would say stick to your brand, stick to what you feel resonates with you, what you feel resonates with your audience. And don't worry too much about trends. I don't know, I personally, I don't do like the white border or anything like that. I know some people do. The thing is if you do it, you have to keep doing it, right? It's not going to look good if you stop. So if you're going to do it, you have to commit. So that was, that's the only thing that I would keep in mind. I think that consistency and being on brand and just having high quality images, I think those are the things that you need to really focus on. And then see if any trends emerge in terms of, posting really light and bright images or versus a little bit darker. If you're seeing, a lot more engagement with one or the other, then maybe you just shift to whatever you think is working better.
I love that. And I think, Rachel, that is like such a perfect note to end on, because it's like, keep it simple, be consistent, because there's always going to be a new trend. There's always going to, be just a new way of doing things. And so really, and that just one final question, because this keeps coming up a lot. People ask, should I scrap the bottom of my feed if it doesn't look beautiful, or do I just keep going? Like, I get this question so much from clients, like, should I just delete everything or should I just keep going?
I think it's up to you, but I would say just keep going. Why delete it? I mean, it's part of your story. It's part of the growth that you've experienced. It's part of your journey. Why get rid of it, right? Just start again. Just start, start from today or whatever, and just start posting, and don't even worry. Nobody's really scrolling back that far anyway. So eventually, you're going to get like these beautiful curated images, and your feed's going to look really great, and no one's really going to care about, you know, what you did 2 months ago.
I love that. I love that. And you guys, a lot of people are asking too how often you should post on Instagram. And I think it goes back to what Rachel said, you know, just, you know, do what you can show up for, do what you can be consistent with. So if you can post one time a day and you're consistent, do that. If you can post 2 times, awesome. Really just pay attention. Like she's saying, you know, just a few minutes ago, how are people engaging? What are they liking? I've seen people that post once a day and they get, you know, insane engagement. It's really just about creating engaging content. Would you agree, Rachel?
I agree with that. And I mean, I only post once a day. And maybe once, like every once in a while, I'll have like 2 things that I need to say that day, but really I post once a day. And for me, that's enough. Like I want to be consistent, and what I'm really looking for is that engagement. So I want to give people time to like see my post, comment on my post. I want to go back and, you know, reply to my comments and things like that. So it's not just about pushing out a bunch of content. It's really about doing something that is more, you know, thoughtful. And if you feel like 1 post a day you can manage, like you were saying, do that. Don't feel like you need to do 2 or 3 or whatever. And every Instagram user is going to tell you something different. But I found once a day is a really good number for continuing to see growth of followers and seeing good engagement on my posts. Sometimes if you're posting too much, you don't allow that, you know, first post to get enough engagement, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the algorithm, you know, the way that it works, obviously it's very complicated, but to really simplify it is the posts that are getting the most engagement are the ones that are showing up in people's feeds. So even what I would say is the less you post and the more engagement you get on each post, that's going to be more important. So, I mean, that's my tip. So try it out and see what happens. I think like you just have to see what works for you, but it kind of feels nice to just be like, okay, 1 post on Instagram a day, right?
Yeah.
Not have to
take
worry
away
about
the stress, not have to worry about it. Totally. I completely agree. That's amazing. Rachel, you've been so amazing. I'm so thankful for your time. I know your time is super valuable. So you guys, I know a lot of you had questions that are already stock members. You had a few common questions that were coming up. So I'll check in with Rachel about those questions and make sure that we get those answers. I just am really thankful, Rachel, for your time and for you being here. And I can't speak highly enough of Hot Chocolate and everything it's done for our business. It simplifies our social media and just makes things so much easier. So you guys, if you're interested, make sure the link is down there. Maybe Nicole, if you could post the link just one more time since there's been a lot of comments. The replay will be available. The replay will be going out along with, you know, the link to head on and be a part of Hot Chocolate, which is amazing because we're so thankful that Rachel has offered up this 48-hour bonus of all of these cool, amazing archived images. So we're really, really, really excited about that. And Rachel, thank you. Anything else before we sign off?
No, I just want to say thank you so much. I'm so glad that we had the opportunity to do this. And I think I'm realizing how important of a topic this is for everyone. So, you know, keep the questions coming. Maybe I'll actually pop into the Facebook group. And if anybody has questions, I can also
that'd be awesome if you don't mind.
answer questions in there too. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great, Rachel. That'd be awesome. I'll make sure to add you in there because that would be great. I know it would be really appreciated. We had tons of people, but I know that the feedback has been just phenomenal. Everyone said it was just such a wonderful experience. Even people that are already a part of Hot Chocolate, just figuring out how to use it properly, and like people that aren't realizing that this is an option available. So excited. You guys, thank you so much. Have an amazing day out there. The replay will be in your inbox by this evening, along with the link to sign on to a membership for Hot Chocolate, as well as you'll get that archive bonus. Remember, it's just 48 hours. So I wouldn't hesitate. It's amazing. And Nicole and I are only willing to bring you things that we believe in, and we wholeheartedly do believe in this product and absolutely love it. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Rachel, and have a wonderful day out there.